Hi, my question for Army on Gossip Girl. Who was the biggest diva on set?
Biggest diva on set of Gossip Girl.
Let me just say, that was a tough show to film. I didn't end up actually filming all of the episodes I was supposed to.
Literally, you said, get me out of this.
It was also like, get him out of here.
Whose love interest were you?
Blake Lively's love
You
interest.
were?
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
Sounds like she was the problem.
It sure does, Chelsea.
No, that's not what I'm
That's
saying.
exactly what I was thinking.
Stand. She doesn't want her husband to take the stand. She doesn't want Taylor Swift to take the stand, nor do they want to take the stand. So if they came to you and just said, we will call this a massive misunderstanding, can we just drop it? Would you entertain it? Curious.
I mean, he was called a sexual predator, or are they saying he's still a sexual predator, but it's a misunderstanding?
You know,
Right. You are going to depose Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift.
Hollywood is reportedly in turmoil as top celebrities unite to expose Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, accusing the power couple of allegedly scheming their way to fame. What started as quiet whispers behind closed doors has now erupted into a full-blown scandal shaking the industry. Insiders from the Deadpool and Wolverine production are breaking their silence, painting a troubling picture of chaos and control. Sources claim Ryan Reynolds maintained an iron grip on set, dominating creative decisions and dismissing input from even senior collaborators. Cast and crew members describe a toxic my way or the highway environment, where dissent was discouraged and tension ran high. Now, the backlash against Hollywood's golden couple is intensifying by the day. And according to those close to the situation, this may be just the beginning of a storm that could redefine their spotless public image.
It ends with a screenplay. Christy Hall says she turned in her script prior to the writer's strike. Then she rejoined production to give feedback during the editing process. She noticed that there were differences in some of the dialogue that she just assumed were improvisations. It wasn't until the premiere on August 6th that she found out, along with everybody else, that it was Ryan who had penned that dialogue. I need to know when this editing process was, because if it was during or right after the writer's strike, means it would have been written during the writer's strike. I can understand why Christy Hall wouldn't sound the alarm if the version of the film that she saw the new dialogue in, if she just assumed it was improv. But then on the red carpet, to find out along with everybody else, he actually wrote those bits in and potentially during the writer's strike. It's giving scab. Or am I misunderstanding? Someone help me.
The backlash against Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively is growing brutal. Fans are dragging Reynolds across social media, calling his alleged behavior shameless, manipulative, and a betrayal of Hollywood's trust. But the storm doesn't stop there, because now, Blake's own past is coming back to haunt her, and the receipts are piling up. In 2018, Blake wasn't just cast to star in The Husband's Secret, she also somehow landed an executive producer credit, a move many now call questionable at best. But that's only the beginning. Independent creators, some speaking out for the first time since as far back as 2014, are accusing Blake of copying their designs, profiting from their ideas, and then cutting them off completely. What was once dismissed as coincidence is now being re-examined under a much harsher light. And the evidence is starting to look damning. The once-adored image of Hollywood's golden couple is dead and gone. That carefully curated cute and classy act, the funny husband and the elegant wife, is collapsing in real time. What was once seen as effortless charm now looks more like a calculated performance, and the cracks are impossible to ignore. Industry insiders and fans alike are speculating that Netflix could soon turn this unraveling scandal into a true crime-style documentary. And if you thought things were already explosive, just wait. This might only be the beginning. Their long-rumored feud with Justin Baldoni, it turns out, was merely the appetizer. Behind those polished public personas, the couple now faces accusations of idea theft, broken promises, and emotional manipulation. That picture-perfect reputation they worked so hard to build, it's not just cracked. It's in ruins.
Of the A-minus list actress knows exactly what went down on the set and just how much extra unnecessary kissing and other activity there was. He will find out in Discovery. This is just alleged, obviously, but I think that we can use our context clues and assume it's about Ryan Reynolds not knowing about what happened between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively on the set of It Ends With Us. If this is true, okay, if this is getting really messy. Just need one crew member that was there on set every single day to come out and give us the tea. I don't think anyone will, but I want them.
We're talking real receipts here. testimonies from creatives, industry insiders, and even former friends of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. And guess what? Every story paints the same unsettling picture. The rumors, the whispers, the behind-the-scenes talk, it's all starting to line up. There's a lot to unpack, so grab your snacks, silence your phone, and settle in. Because Hollywood's most adored couple might not be the fairy tale duo we thought they were. They might just be the industry's most calculated scammers. And now, after years of carefully protecting their image, it seems they've finally been exposed. But things didn't just get messy recently. Blake Lively's questionable choices go way back. Let's rewind to 2014, when some of you were still watching Paw Patrol. That's when Blake launched Preserve, her overly ambitious and, frankly, cringeworthy attempt at a lifestyle brand. The problem? It had no real identity. Preserve sold everything from overpriced candles to awkwardly rustic home decor and random handcrafted trinkets that no one asked for. It was a confusing blend of hipster chic and Hollywood wholesome with zero clear direction. One journalist even devoted an entire article to figuring out what Preserve actually was. And their conclusion? It wasn't a lifestyle brand at all. It was a confused, hipster-inspired knick-knack shop trying way too hard to appeal to millennials. With a luxury price tag and no real purpose, Preserve was doomed from the start. Unsurprisingly, by 2015, it had completely tanked. But when everything came crashing down, did Blake Lively own up to the failure and call it what it was? A total disaster? Not exactly. Instead of taking accountability, Blake framed the shutdown as a strategic move, a temporary pause to rethink and rebuild. But those inside the project tell a different story. They describe confusion, poor leadership, and a desperate scramble to save a sinking ship that was already underwater. The truth? Preserve wasn't a passion project gone wrong. It was the first public crack in Blake Lively's perfectly polished image.
Preserve, Blake Lively's short-lived digital ode to the South. It was going for Martha Stewart meets the pioneer woman with like a splash of goop, but what we got was Paula Deen. Paula Deen, if she was into $70 artisanal salad tongs. Anywho, so unfortunately for Blakey, there wasn't much of a market for a lifestyle blog romanticizing the antebellum South. Called Preserve. What are we trying to preserve here, Blake? I didn't see her selling any jams. For many, there's something really troubling about a woman born and raised in Los Angeles who is enamored with the antebellum South. And to be clear, antebellum means before the war, the Civil War. And she thought that shit was so chic that she and Ryan had to get married on a plantation. Then, to be fair, they have both apologized for the plantation wedding and invested heavily in organizations that support communities of color. You can make a post on that if you like, but TLDR, if you got married on a plantation, I hope you're haunted by the slaves whose graves you essentially danced on.
Nope, Blake didn't admit defeat. Instead, she claimed Preserve was simply ahead of its time, insisting the world just wasn't ready for her vision. But the receipts tell a very different story. According to multiple sources, Blake wasn't just selling candles and crafts. She was selling an illusion. Behind the glossy photos and poetic branding was a business run on confusion, overpricing, and poor management. Former team members allege that Blake micromanaged everything, from product styling to ad copy, often overriding professionals who actually knew the market. The result? A brand that looked perfect on Instagram but was falling apart behind the scenes. Overpriced candles and faux rustic home goods. But that wasn't the real problem. Insiders claim Blake was allegedly ripping off small creators to do it. According to multiple sources, she and her team would order handmade samples from independent artisans under fake names, replicate the designs almost identically, and then cut off all contact with the original artists once production began. Those who tried to speak up were ignored or quietly silenced. What was marketed as a celebration of authentic craftsmanship was, behind the curtain, something far more exploitative. No credit, no acknowledgement, and no payment. By October 9th, Blake, then just 28, was forced to shut Preserve down for good. The site had barely lasted a year, having launched in July 2014 before collapsing under its own confusion. When Vogue later interviewed her about the brand's swift demise, Blake did what she does best. She spun the narrative. Instead of admitting failure, she framed the shutdown as a learning experience, claiming she had grown, evolved, and was proud of what she'd built. But behind that polished smile, insiders say Blake wasn't reflecting. She was rebranding, carefully crafting her next move to protect her image and reset her. Reputation before anyone could see the cracks. Blake claimed she simply didn't want to continue something she and her team weren't proud of. Her official explanation sounded polished, even rehearsed. We launched the site before it was ready, and it never caught up to its original mission. It's not making a difference in people's lives, whether superficially.
New blind item that is allegedly about Blake Lively's new hair care line, Blake Brown, failing immensely. Apparently, a hair care line and a movie about DV is not a great marketing twofer. The new line of the A- list actress is bombing. That makes her like 0 for her last 6 when it comes to establishing a brand. And again, this is allegedly Blake Lively and her new hair care brand, Blake Brown, and it is comparing her past brands, Betty Buzz, a line of non-alcoholic drink mixers, Betty Booze, a line of alcoholic canned cocktails, and Preserve and Gifting, kindness and gifting advice. And the related headline reads, "The Blake Lively backlash was a long time coming." The drama surrounding It Ends With Us seemed to be some of the biggest entertainment news this week, with Blake Lively catching a lot of heat for her conduct during the press release for the film and some problematic past actions.
Just when you thought Blake's sticky fingers were only swiping from Etsy shops, plot twist. There's another alleged scam, and this one hits even closer to Hollywood's inner circle. According to new insider reports, Blake's latest controversy doesn't involve small creators or handmade trinkets. It involves major brands, big money, and serious allegations of deception. What started as whispers in fashion boardrooms has now spiraled into a full-blown industry scandal, one that could expose just how far Blake Lively was willing to go to. Protect her empire. This next part falls squarely into the Hollywood whisper network, the kind of story that never quite makes it into the mainstream gossip cycle, but everyone behind the scenes seems to know. So take it with a grain of salt. But if it's true, it's messy. Back in 2017, Blake was tapped to star in CBS Films' upcoming thriller, The Husband's Secret. That's when the real drama reportedly began. An independent screenwriter came forward online, claiming that the script, or at least major portions of it, looked eerily similar to a project they had pitched years earlier. According to their posts, certain plot lines, character arcs, and even bits of dialogue bore unmistakable resemblances to their original work, claiming her original script had been floating around Hollywood for years, only to suddenly resurface, heavily reworked as the very film Blake was set to lead. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing raised more than a few eyebrows. Strangely, the major entertainment outlets, Deadline, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, all stayed completely silent. Not a single headline, not a whisper of coverage. At the time, calling out one of Hollywood's favorite power couples was practically taboo. Industry insiders now say the story may have been quietly buried, swept under the rug by studios and PR teams determined to protect valuable reputations and multi-million-dollar deals. Calling out A-listers was practically taboo, especially when they were at the height of their fame. That might explain why this entire story flew under the radar for so long. But here's where things really start to heat up. An old interview has recently resurfaced, and in it, Blake can be heard casually bragging about her creative input on The Husband's Secret. She describes how she helped reshape parts of the story and bring a new tone to the script. At the time, it sounded like standard Hollywood talk, a confident actress discussing her role. But now, viewed through the lens of those plagiarism allegations, her comments sound a lot less like artistic collaboration and a lot more like self-incrimination. Knows that kind of move isn't just a title upgrade, it's a power play. Executive producer credits mean money, ownership, and control over how a project is shaped,